So that hug was perfectly timed. I imagine it was immaculately planned. Just how well planned out was that? What went into that?
You know, it's a little bit more about the rapid response side of it and feeling the moment. So our organization, we didn't have that planned out a week in advance, but the moment that came, and we sort of felt how we wanted to capture the moment and look at how our people were feeling in the office and our volunteers were feeling around the country and tried to capture that in a single image.
So, if you could sum up your strategy for President Obama when you were working with him, what would it be?
Well, I think the point of getting behind these rapid response moments is that you got to show up. And if your organization has an approval process for its content that takes a week and involves 6 different lawyers, then you're not showing up for those moments. And so on the campaign, we were, helpfully in the office for 18 hours a day and generally freaking out about what was going on when we weren't in the office. So that you're sort of always on top of it. But we had an approval process and an organizational structure that allowed us to participate in those moments and act quickly and put content out.
So how far in advance did you, think about what you wanted to do if indeed the president won?
Well, we were never not thinking about what we wanted to do, given anything that was going on in the political cycle. So you tried to be prepared for the good and the bad, but when it happened and we actually won, you don't know how you're going to feel in that particular moment. And I think the most important part for a campaign or a brand or a nonprofit organization is to really put out the content that's shareable and that feels like that moment. And to be honest, we didn't actually know what that moment would feel like until it happened. But when it did, we went scouring through the archives of all the pictures of hugs that we had.
So you literally found that hug in that moment?
Yeah, we had been talking about the moment. It was a couple of nights earlier before election night in the last rally in Iowa, and there had been a moment in the live stream of the president's event where the First Lady introduced him, and they were at the podium, and they sort of hugged and lingered there for a long time. And so we tried to grab a shot of that moment, but it was too dark, and you couldn't really see him. We didn't have the right angle. We tried grabbing, stills from the video and whatnot. It just didn't work. And so then we asked the social media team to go find some more hug photos, and that was the one that felt the most resonant for us.
So we've seen 2 major social media movements this week, the Supreme Court's rulings on gay marriage, as well as Senator Wendy Davis' filibuster in Texas and the hashtag Stand with Wendy. How spontaneous are movements like this?
I think the execution is really spontaneous because you don't necessarily know what you're going to say word for word or moment to moment in them, but the reality of these moments is that there was preparation on the part of organizations, and this is a lesson for brands and businesses out there when they're looking at not just the political moments, but things that are happening in their industry and in society, to be prepared for participation in that conversation. And so you had organizations on both sides, on both of those issues, that were prepared and were present and participating in them. But in fact, it was a big conversation between organizations and regular folks on Twitter and influential folks with big followings, all sort of in the moment in real time having a conversation. And organizations have to have the orientation, the organizational structure, the approval process, and the talent, and frankly the willingness to sort of throw caution to the wind a little bit to go participate in that conversation.
Now, to me, authenticity seems to be one of the most important things to building a strong social media brand. So how do you balance the authenticity factor and being provocative with being planned and orchestrated? And how is it different for someone like a President Obama and a Lady Gaga, who you've worked with as well?
I think there's obviously a little bit different in terms of the types of content that both of those folks are willing to put out into the world. But the reality is that the preparation is organizational, and so you should have a good team, whether it's an internal team or an external team, that's structured well, that has sound judgment, that you trust, and that is one where President Obama isn't approving every single tweet that goes out from the White House or from his campaign in the campaign cycle, but that's something that he's organizationally prepared for by having a sound team in place that can exercise the judgment in the moment, but also not go too far. The premium is obviously on authenticity and making sure that you're feeling what you're putting out there and that you're participating in the moment in a real way. But there's obviously lots of pitfalls that you got to be prepared for.